Continuing with yoga and joining and the Sankhya model of reality. So we're going to look now at the sheet and the idea of working with these different constituent parts of ourselves to invite yoga. So the basic question that we're using as a platform is, if I want to unify, if I want to join myself up, how do I do that? If I want to become one with everything, how on earth will I go about that? And yoga tells us, always start where we are. Take the first step, the one you can take. Take the step that your soul is asking you to take now. No need to run ahead of ourselves. Take a realistic step. And so the Sankhya model of reality, of these different evolutes of consciousness that have taken manifest form, these building blocks of material reality, or these building blocks of phenomenological existence, we can use them as a structure which can aid our exploration and inquiry into who we really are, what we're really made of, and how we can bring ourselves more into a state of cohesion. So looking at this sheet, we're going to work from the bottom up. So we look at the bottom of the sheet here, we'll see the first, there's a group of 5 at the bottom, the 5 great elements, known in Sanskrit as the pañca. Pañca means 5. Punch, the English word punch, has come from the Indian languages, which are derived from Sanskrit. Pañca. So pañca, maha means great. Bhūtāḥ. Bhūtāḥ means things that have become. So it's the 5 great things that have become, the 5 great elements, the 5 essential constitutional elements of existence: earth, water, fire, air, and space. Different words you can refer to these as in Sanskrit, but for example, these words are pretty standard. Pṛthvī or pṛthvī, the element of earth. Jala, water. Agni, fire. Vāyu, air or wind. And then ākāśa, space, ether, sky. So let's consider these 5 elements. Are we made of the earth? Yes, I do have an earthy quality. I have a solid quality to me, even though I am this fragile, relatively speaking, human being. There is an earthy, solid quality to me. Many spiritual traditions from all around the world say we are made of the earth. We are fashioned from dust, and to dust we return. We are shaped from the clay of the Creator's hand. Many different ways of describing it, but nonetheless, that's not surprising because it's borne out by our own immediate experience. Do we have an earthy quality? Yes, there is a certain solidity to us. What about water? Are we made of water? Sometimes people say we are mainly water. At school I was told that we were 70-something% water. I've met people who went to school in other countries where they were told they were 85-90% water. And also then, as we get older, it slightly goes down because we're a little bit less juicy as we get older. However, all that said, we are undeniably watery beings to some significant degree. The blood, sweat, tears of life are adequate testimony for this. Energy circulates through us. The heart beats, and these great rivers flow through this microcosm of our being, through this field of our bodily existence. What about fire? Well, yes, I certainly have I have an internal combustion engine. It keeps me warm. One thing I love swimming, especially in the sea. I love swimming so much that I will even go swimming in a chlorine swimming pool. And swimming in a chlorine swimming pool, to me, compared to swimming, it's a very poor, compared to swimming in the sea, it's a very poor imitation. Now, my favourite sea to swim in is the Pacific Ocean in the tropical latitudes. I'm from North Yorkshire in England. There is sea not far from where I'm recording this, like 20 miles or so. Even though I love swimming so much, it's hard for me to go and swim in that sea because the water temperature is such that what happens? My internal combustion engine has to go into overdrive and use so much energy just to maintain my bodily temperature. But it does this. Our internal fire knows how to keep us warm, knows how to maintain our internal temperature when we live in more northerly or southerly latitudes and we're exposed to cooler temperatures or we jump into cold water. Similarly, our internal combustion engine, there's another fire in there, the digestive fire. Maybe you've had some food recently. This morning, for example, I cooked myself some food, some rice. I soaked it overnight, and then I had just some simple vegetables, just stir-fried in ghee, and I put them on top of the rice, like a Japanese donburi, like the rice with the other stuff on top. And then I ate it, and it went into my body as there was like leek and turmeric and ghee and some like white coloured carrot, and I put an egg in as well and rice. And now what's happened to all of that? Now my body, in its magnificent, miraculous intelligence, is transmuting all of that pranic energy, all of that raw material, all of that bountiful gift of Mother Nature into forms that my body needs to maintain some degree of what we might even call yoga, of togetherness. My body is transmuting it into forms that help it stay whole and healthy, which is quite miraculous. But this also starts to alert us to how the existence of just these first three elements alone in our physical manifest reality, in our bodily existence, is proof that you and me and all of us, we are already, we might say, quite advanced yogis. Wait a minute, let's rewind there. That's overstating it. A yogi is one who is established in yoga, in whom there is yoga. Let's say instead the fact that our bodily system holds earth, water, fire, air and space together in this relative cohesion is testament to the fact that we are born and have an innate, we are born with and have an innate capacity for a high degree of yoga. That's a better way of stating it. What do I mean by that? If I pour, for example, water into a container that also contains some solid substance, some earthy substance, what happens? Before very long they start to separate. Earth and water are here, but do they separate? No, they stay together. If I add fire to the mixture, what's going to happen? Maybe the water evaporates, maybe the fire gets doused and put out. But here, earth, water, fire are all coexisting. That is actually mind-blowing. That is actually incredible. That here, in this miraculous vehicle of the human body, earth, water and fire are cohering in a state that we might call a state of togetherness, cohesion, balance, integration, yoga. So yoga is not something foreign to us. It's not something outside us. It is a capacity that is inherent within every one of us. And so the yoga method is intended to help us actualize that, realize that, embody and experience it more fully. So, we've recognized, hopefully, you agree with me, I think it's pretty reasonable, that I, as a human being, I do contain earth, I do contain water, I do contain fire. Or we could say the element or quality, the element, the bhūtāḥ, the thing that has become this aspect, element of earth, water and fire, they're all present within me. What about air? Again, it's a resounding yes. With every breath that comes in and out, the very breath of life, we're never separate from the element of air. First thing we do when we come out of the womb, we inhale, and then perhaps we exhale with sound. And when we die, and when that moment comes, we will exhale, we will expire. So the in-breath, the out-breath, air, also very much part of our bodily immediate reality. And then space. So when I was at school, I was told you're 70% more or less water. And then when I got a bit older, they told me, actually, you're mostly space. And everything else is just, you seem like you are however many kilograms of relatively dense matter, but actually it's mainly space, and everything's mainly space. But if I close my eyes and observe myself, perhaps I can also notice a sense of solidity, fluidity, internal heat. I can notice the flow of the breath in and out of the body, but I might also notice a sense of spaciousness within and around me. I would say that these elements are very much an obvious part of our immediate manifest experience. And so if we're going to practice yoga, we have to balance these. We have to bring them into evenness, into a state of cohesion. And so this is one of the yoga practitioner works from gross to subtle. So if I want to invite yoga, where do we start? On the earth. And we always ground our practice. We always take it back to the roots. Sometimes people say or think yoga's all about ascending and rising and transcending and other such going upwards. But the great masters say, relatively speaking, that's easy. The trick, the real challenge, and the real focus of yoga practice is then to reintegrate. Once we have risen or transcended to this vaster, more inclusive, subtler realm of experience, we then have to integrate that back into our day-to-day grounded reality. So when we're practicing, if you're practicing asana, for example, we start by rooting down. If you practice yoga asana, it's likely that you've heard the Sanskrit term bandha. Now, bandha can be described or rendered in English in various ways. Sometimes people talk about it as a lock or a seal. Well and good. However, the Sanskrit word has had a significant influence on many other languages, including English. If, for example, one is going to lift a very heavy weight in a deadlift, sometimes people put on a weightlifting belt, which is a type of bandage around the middle section of the body. Recent years, athletes sometimes have taken to wearing compression suits because it helps them get more efficiency in their movement. What does the weightlifting belt or the compression suit do? It acts to, let's say, externally reinforce a capacity that the body has within it that is called bandha. Bandha is a name for the invisible support bandage that we can activate by the way we relate to the earth and the way we use the powers of our body to invite energy to flow through the central channels of the body. For example, if you lift your right arm up now and place your left hand onto the front part of your right shoulder. I can feel here a 4-letter word beginning with F. What 4-letter word beginning with F can you feel in the front of your shoulder? Say it. Firm. Very good. Underneath, a 4-letter word beginning with S. Say it. Yes, that's it. Soft. Now, if I take the arm the other way, now the rear side, which a moment ago was soft, now it's become firm, and underneath, relatively speaking, is soft. This is ha, firm, and ta, soft. Ha, firm, ta, soft. Now, do this with your hand, and now feel your wrist. Is it ha or ta? Is it firm or soft? It's probably going to feel firm all around the joint. This action has activated Bandha. When I do this in my hand, I activate Bandha in the hand, wrist, in the elbow, and then this can also help me activate in the shoulder. So I'm activating, you can feel the latissimus dorsi is activated, and the shoulder then is able to move in a relatively stable way. So if I do, for example, Chaturanga-dandasana, if I activated Bandha, I'm keeping the shoulder more or less where it wants to be. I'm activating the invisible support bandage. Mūla Bandha, the root Bandha, connects me to the great strength of the earth. It helps me move from the ground. So you think of like a javelin thrower. Maybe you remember Jan Železný. He was a great Czech javelin thrower of the end of the 20th century. When he threw the javelin, it's like his upper body was almost empty. He could move the arm very, very quickly. But the power came from his connection. He would hit the front foot down when he threw the javelin. And because he is engaged the body in a balanced way, that force of pressing down into the earth can then rebound through his body and help him throw the javelin in the most effective way, the furthest possible. So Bandha is a way to root down to the element of earth. So in Hatha Yoga practice, Bandha is foundational. Now Hatha Yoga, as we'll talk about more in due course, is yoga. It's not something separate. It's all about yoga. It's all about cultivating balance, integration, harmony through all parts of our system, not just the body. Because in the Indian system, there is no separation between the body and the mind. The body and the mind are just different aspects of this one field of consciousness, this one field of conscious existence. So Bandha is a way to create a stable, powerful platform upon which we can build or reconstruct or restructure the field in a more cohesive, integrated, harmonious form. So the element of earth, I mentioned, when we start doing yogasana, the first thing we do is we root. When we consider the element of the earth, yoga is about balance. So for example, the element of earth within us, if the element of earth is in balance, we might feel grounded, stable, secure. If the element of the earth is not in balance, we might feel stuck or trapped or sluggish, if that makes sense.